Welcome to The Soul's Journey with your host, Tracy Escobar. The Soul's Journey tells the story of everyday people who overcome life's toughest lessons and want to use their voice to share and give hope to others walking a similar path. These are stories of hope, stories of healing, stories of empowerment. So now, please welcome the host of The Soul's Journey, Tracy Escobar.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Soul's Journey right here on Bold Brave TV Network. Super excited to be back for another show. I have another great friend, colleague, medium who's coming on, so I can't wait to introduce him and read his bio. But if you don't know, I am also an evidential psychic medium. I am the author of You Can Be a Medium. I have also published my own oracle deck. So that's kind of just what I do and what I am. But my guest today, I'm going to read his bio really quick. So every medium has their story of awakening. We all do. We really do. And for Jeffery, it came later in life and was totally unexpected. Although there was always an inner knowing that there was more to life than what happened or appeared on the surface, he didn't start experiencing spirit communication until beginning to heal himself and others through the use of his hands and Reiki. It became apparent through the healing that his gifts went beyond the physical hands and to the other side we know as spirit. Spirit began speaking to him that his purpose has changed. Following Spirit's guidance, he was led to incredible mentors to study under such as Lynn Probert, Chris Drew, and Tony Stockwell at the esteemed Arthur Findlay College in England. Jeffery Peck is an evidential psychic medium with a loving and sensitive approach to spirit. His commitment and dedication, combined with his warm understanding and compassionate style, provide you with clarity, peace, and peace of mind. A session with Jeffery will leave you with a clear knowing that your loved ones are still a part of your life and with a sense of healing and hope. And I so love that. So let me bring on Jeffery. Jeff, come on. Hi.
Hi, sweetheart.
How are you, my love? Hi.
I'm amazing. Thank you.
I love reading that because you have some of the things in your bio that I talk about too. So I'm all about hope, healing, and empowerment. That's kind of my tagline. And so just reading the end of Hope and Healing, I just love it. And I love you.
Yeah. Thank you. I love you too.
Thanks for coming on. And you're so easy. I've been looking forward to this show because, I don't know, you and I are so easy. We can just chat for a whole hour and not
totally. Yeah.
think about it. So, and I just love that our listeners kind of get to chat in and listen as we talk about things. And so I don't think we've always shared our story on our mediumship journey, and we're going to get to that at the end of the show. But I don't think we've ever talked about our trauma journey, and we all have one, right?
Yeah, we do.
It's a rough one. I know I wrote my book, so mine's all out there for the public to read, and that was hard. That was a hard year to write my book because it was like bringing up all that dreadful stuff and having to relive it. But I kind of want to talk to you about your trauma journey because I just feel like, reading your bio, you're kind of like me. My mediumship came way later in life. I was 45, really old. Yeah. So I didn't get to enjoy this as a youngster in my 20s or 30s. And same for you. Yours came later too. And I just feel like people always ask, well, you had to have been born with it. You had to have been born with it. Well, maybe. But I do think that sometimes it comes from trauma and it comes from healing and becoming very self-aware and opening up, and that way things just happen. So we're going to talk about that part, but let's get to the trauma. Who was Jeffery in the 90s? I want you to tell me. Take me down.
Down that. In the 90s. Wow. In the 90s. In the 90s, I was wearing a ton of masks. I was wearing, I was trying to be everything I thought I was supposed to be, everything I thought society wanted me to be: culture, religion, friends, family. I was everything but myself. It is. It's crazy what we put ourselves through out of fear of being rejected, being denied love. We are imprinted from childhood, the society that we live in, the religions we grow up in, the culture, the subcultures. And when we're different, that's where the rejection happens, and it sits in, the imprints happen that we are not lovable, we are not worthy, we are not enough.
And I wonder
And
why Gen Xers are so messed up.
yeah, it is
We
true.
are.
And then we truly believe it. We
We do.
believe it.
We
And
believe it.
it sets in so deeply. Here we are, in our 50s, still working through it, still healing it, still peeling that layer of onion of one after another. And but so in the 90s, I grew up little kid life in South Dakota, and we went to the local Lutheran church, and and I was gay. I knew I was gay when I was in second grade. Although I obviously didn't know gay
What that is,
at that
right?
what that was, but I had a crush on my gym teacher. I mean, I knew that was different. I'll say different.
Yeah.
I didn't know whether it was right or wrong or indifferent, but I just there's something was off. I wasn't like playing with girls. I wasn't flirting with girls. I didn't care about any of that. And then fast forward through high school, it was all the same. I was trying to have girlfriends, but I just was so not interested. And it just
Right.
then, the hormones are raging and we're coming through puberty, and then you obviously know where your attractions lie, right? And then, and that was in the 80s, the mid 80s, where the AIDS crisis had exploded in the early 80s to mid 80s, and so then it became scary.
Were you in high school in the 80s?
Yeah, I was in high school from 84 to 88.
80, okay, I graduated 89, so we were in high school at the same time. And back then, you were judged if you were gay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
It was
completely.
it was not fun, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so in the 90s, I was plugging along, trying to do my best to live a straight life,
Okay.
to have interest in women, to have interest in dating, and it just didn't work. So I just had every excuse under the sun why I wasn't dating, or those that I was trying to date, why I wasn't having sex with them, why I wasn't physical, why, it was just every excuse under the book. And then the deeper we push all of that, which is, it's like trying to shove a beach ball under the water. It's like, it just, you can only shove it under so far for so long until it just slips out of your hand, pops up. And in 1994, I basically had it. I mean, I was self-medicating. I was drinking like crazy. I was experimenting with drugs. I was everything I could escape, every escape mode. Yeah. I was searching for, and it just wasn't. I knew I didn't feel good about it, so I felt even worse about myself than I already felt about myself. And in November of 1994, I decided that I was going back. My parents are from South Dakota, and there was no way I could ever go to small town South Dakota after living in Phoenix through high school. And I decided in November of 1994 that I was going to go to Minnesota. I was going to go to Minneapolis, where it was a big city, but it was close enough to the family, but not close enough to the small town mentality, right?
Right. Did they know at this point?
No.
Okay.
So I just used the excuse that I just wanted to be closer to family, right? So I was, a 3.5, 4 hour drive away. And I basically ran from myself here. I owned a condominium. I had a roommate. I left her. I literally made the decision, and I was gone within 2 weeks.
Really? Okay.
And
you knew?
Yeah. And so I get up there to Minnesota, and it's winter time. I get a job at TGI Fridays in Burnsville, and it was fun. It was fun. Fridays was fun. It was fun work. Great people. But everybody's in their 20s with you, and everybody's dating everybody under the sun, and everybody's, and I was just, again, I had no interest. Even though my intention was to go up there and live a straight life, find a nice blonde Norwegian girl, and have a white picket fence.
That was the intention.
That was the intention.
Okay.
And no, That didn't happen.
Like so many people's stories, right? So many stories like yours, and people's just stuffing their acceptance of who they
Yeah.
truly are, their authentic self down.
Yeah.
But what happens when we do that, Jeff? What happened? What happened?
The truth, the authenticity, who you really are eventually demands to be seen and heard and understood and recognized. And those that are not capable of seeing and hearing and compassionately loving you for who you are, they all go to the wayside, you know? And that's what's so scary in those moments, because we don't know, it feels like everybody is going to go to the wayside. It
Is that
feels
what it
like,
is?
yeah, I mean, I felt this despair and this sense of desperation that everybody was just going to think I was one giant disappointment and just turn their back and cast me aside.
I can see that.
And
Yeah.
it was just awful.
Awful.
Yeah, it was awful. I mean, and there was a night I worked a night shift and must have closed at midnight, and we sat around the bar, had a beer afterwards. I was driving home at like 1:00 a.m. and it was a night where it was a full whiteout blizzard. And I was still relatively new. I'd only lived there for a couple of months and I didn't know the area, but I was trying to drive home at 1:00 in the morning in a whiteout. And it had dawned on me that as much as I ran from myself, I left Arizona, I ran from myself with the intention of coming up to Minnesota to live the right life. I say right life, you know, with quotes. It dawned on me that I followed myself right up there. I didn't run from myself. I was still there. And so I was driving home at 1:00 in the morning and I was sobbing my eyes out. I couldn't see the road through my tears, let alone the whiteout conditions.
Wow.
And then I had just decided I had had enough. I was going to be a disappointment to everybody and I was better off dead. I was just going to be, I mean, I was unlovable. I was, I was not worthy. I was not enough in anybody's eyes, let alone God's eyes, if I'm going to go straight to hell for being gay anyway. Right. So,
right.
Yeah. So as I'm driving through the dark on this highway, no streetlights, here comes a light pole, you know, as I'm getting ready to pass the light pole. And I took my seatbelt off and I sped up and I was aiming for the light pole.
Oh my God.
And it's the strangest thing. I don't know exactly what happened. Looking back, and I tried to examine this over and over and over again after it all happened. I might, like, realistically, I might have hit like a black ice or like a patch of ice, because before I hit it, all of a sudden my car turned.
Oh.
And so then I was doing this, you know, trying to straighten out the car, but it felt like it felt like a hand came out of the sky and just straightened my car away from that light pole. And when literally like 10, 15 seconds go by, that seems like eternity. And I'm processing what I literally just tried to do.
Yeah.
And then I start sobbing even harder. And I realize what I almost did and how I missed it. But how did I miss it? I don't think I hit ice, but maybe I hit ice. But I mean, it was just the strangest thing. Anyway, I get home and I cried all night long. I don't even think I slept. So the next day I decided that I needed to get back to Arizona. And I was just going to, you know, I had a place there. I was just going to start over.
So back to Arizona to start over. Get back to you.
Come back to me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Do you find that a lot of people at that point are suicidal? Have you had other friends who are suicidal?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know so many of us that have been either the attempt or attempted and revived, or just been at that threshold.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
Yeah.
common. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I got back to Arizona a couple months later, still kept it to myself that entire 2 months. But when I got back to Arizona, I got home and I laid on the floor with my legs up on the wall. I was upside down on the phone, the old phone, the wired to the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I laid there and I called everybody I could. And I basically just one right after another told them I'm gay.
Shut up. That's how you
All
came
of my
out.
friends. Yeah, that's just one right after another.
Ah, what a great story. Okay, hold that. We need to take a quick break and then we'll be back. You're watching The Soul's Journey on Bold Brave TV Network. We'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
And welcome back to The Soul's Journey right here on Bold Brave TV Network. I am your host, Tracy Escobar, Evidential Medium, and I have my colleague, Jeffery Peck, who's also an Evidential Medium, who is joining me today. And right before we went to break, we were talking about your suicide attempt. And I just think that was divine God coming down on you because you had such a big plan ahead of you. You just didn't know about it yet. And it's just crazy because, this week I had a reading and I was affected by the same topic. I had a reading with a lady and a friend of hers from high school came through, and he was only 15 when he passed away, and he had committed suicide, and no one knew why. He was just that kid that was so fun and friendly. And so when I asked him, he told me he was struggling with his sexuality and that his parents were so religious, he didn't want to disappoint them. And he was truly struggling with his identity and disappointing people. So your story is, God, the same. Like, it's all the same. It's the same message from all of everybody. And back in those days, this was probably 20 plus years ago for my client, it just wasn't tolerated. And so I have to say, wow to you all for paving the way, because it's kind of different now, right? So there's some pioneering that you guys did by coming out and doing what you did. So let's get back to your coming out story. You called everybody on the phone, and how was the feedback? What happened?
It was all loving, all accepting, all we love you regardless.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Even your parents?
And I didn't tell my parents at this moment. It took me I think a few more months to tell my mom, and it wasn't I was struggling with telling her. She asked me. She just basically asked me, and I was like, well, yeah.
Okay.
So
before then, it was just friends. It was easier to come out to friends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. but everybody loved you anyway. So I love that. You got your
Yeah,
support.
yeah, 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 totally. And after coming out, I mean, like I had friends point this out years later that it was like after I accepted myself and started loving myself for who I am and what I am and why I am, it's like my life just started to skyrocket. I mean, like it just went like it just got better and better and better. And I found I entered my first long-term relationship like maybe 2.5, 3 years later. And that was a 10-year relationship, and it was awesome.
Okay,
And,
good.
um, but
So a lot of people deal with, sorry to interrupt you, but I was just thinking that was good for you because a lot of people, once they come out, they still struggle with some of the trauma, right? So there's promiscuity. How do you say that word?
yes.
Promiscuity. You know what I'm talking about, right? There's drug use still because you didn't have any of that. You didn't have to go through like true
Um,
healing.
no, promiscuity was not, it's not, I tried to be slutty and it's just not me.
Love it.
It's just not me. I tried. Yeah, it's just not me. You
Okay.
know, I love my wine. But it was not, it wasn't ever really,
A
like
thing.
a reach for out of that pain. You know what I mean?
The pain. Yeah. I was wondering, what
So,
did you do with the pain? How did you fix the pain part?
well, I didn't really address it
Okay.
right away. I didn't address it right away. My first partner was really big into therapy, personal therapy, group therapy, all that kind of therapy, and so I learned the importance of counselors and therapists with him, and it was in that relationship it mirrored to me um my own pain, my own wounds.
Yeah.
And I hadn't realized that I had been suffering with abandonment and betrayal from since childhood. My parents separated when I was 15, and my mom went back to South Dakota. My dad stayed in Arizona, and it all happened so fast. I thought I was fine, but I was really struggling with that on a deep level.
On a deep level.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so therapy started to come into play in the 2000s, and hypnotherapy. Like I would see a counselor, but my main form of therapy was hypnotherapy. And I had struggled with depression and anxiety my entire life for obvious reasons, right?
Sure.
For obvious reasons.
So clear
And
now.
and I would right. And I would see a hypnotherapist once a week, and we would do this hypnotherapy work, working through the anxiety, working through the depression. And I would also at the same time, I was doing past life regression. So this
Oh,
was like leading me. I knew that we were much more than this
yeah.
before I became, well, before my eyes were awake to spirit. I knew there was more, but I hadn't quite put my finger on it yet, my eyeballs on it yet. I didn't feel, I knew there was more. And I was seeing it through these hypnotherapy sessions. Um, and then 2006 happened.
Oh.
I was attuned to the Reiki on November 11th, 2006. My grandmother, they have suffered with fibromyalgia, degenerative disc disease. Um,
Yep.
um, oh my gosh. I mean, osteoarthritis, you name it, all that chronic pain. And nothing helped. No medicine, no pills, it just nothing helped. And so when I discovered Reiki, I said to the lady who was giving me a massage, I was like, "You mean anybody can do this?" And she goes, "Yeah, you just find a Reiki master who attunes you and teaches you." And I thought, well, you know what? What do I have to lose, right? I'm going to see what happens. I became attuned to the Reiki in November of 2006. The side effect for me, which was completely unknown, was the ignition of all of the spiritual senses. Like like going from 0 to light speed
Boom.
in 3 hours.
Yeah.
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 And that's when it all started to happen for me. My Reiki teacher had told me to the first 30 days, she said, I want you to sit with yourself, give yourself a personal treatment every day for an hour, and I want you to learn from the Reiki. I want you to sit with it. I want you to feel it. I want it to teach you. I want you to understand. And so I did. And during these hour sessions every day, I started to sense beings, other
Yes.
people. I would start to see things in my mind's eye. I would start to hear things with my mind's ear. and I was just like, and I was like, I thought I was losing my mind. I thought I was going crazy.
Yes.
And after about 2 weeks of really feeling like I was just dreaming or making it all up, I talked to my Reiki master. I said, this is all happening. And I'm explaining it all. And she just smiled and she said, you're opening up to spirit. She says she said you're going to be a huge channel one day. And I was like, no, I'm not. She was like, oh yeah, you will. And I said, no, I'm not. But back then my definition of channel was Esther Hicks and Abraham and
True.
Jane, what's her name, who did the Seth materials. That was, to me, that was a channel,
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, and she said, you need to change your definition of the word channel. And now I understand that the work that we do, we're channeling spirit, we're channeling information, we're channeling energy. Anyway, I get it now, but yeah, that's how it all started for me. And when I was doing Reiki treatments with people, I started to recognize that there were other people in the room with us that needed me to speak.
Yes. It's kind of like my story. I started healing, meditating, and then things just opened up. So anybody who's listening, like, that's how it can happen. Once you go on your healing journey and you start opening up and you start really getting to that space where you clear your mind, it's amazing what can happen. That's exactly what happened to me. Exactly. So then tell me the rest. What happened next? Yeah.
So I was doing these treatments with people. I recognized other people in the room. I finally felt the need to speak. And I asked, do you mind if I start talking? Because I feel like I feel like there's somebody here with us in spirit. Now, mind you, I had never been to a medium at this point. I had watched John Edwards. Sure. I had watched James Van Praagh. I watched the show with Patricia Arquette called Medium. I loved all of that.
Right. Yeah.
But I'd never had my own personal experience. And so here I am, this fledgling, just giving Reiki treatments and saying, I know your grandfather's here, and let me tell you why I know it's your grandfather. And I started telling them about his personality and the things that he loved to do and the things that he loved in life and his favorite things in life. And I was delivering evidential mediumship before I even knew what that was, right?
Right, because you're still working at this time, still living a normal life, right?
Yeah, I was doing mortgages.
How more down to earth can you get?
I know, right? So yeah, that's how it opened up for me. And and of course, looking back, now that was 17 years ago. Looking back, recognizing this path, recognizing my experiences through that trauma as a child, in my teens, in my 20s, the experience of almost taking my own life, and then the experiences after, it set me up with experiences through which I am able to relate to other people's trauma and other people's experiences. And when we are able to relate to other people through our own wounds, we come at it from a place of compassion. Rather than judgment, we come at it from a place of compassion, like, oh, I've been there. I know what you're going through. What can I do? Just let me hold your hand. I'm here. If that's all I need to do, I'm here.
Yeah. Right? You accept them.
Yeah. So through that growth,
you were not liking it. Sorry, it scared me. I was like, what was that? Sorry.
So through that growth, all of this started to happen within me, the spiritual senses, the spiritual connections, and then synchronicity leads to synchronicity, as spirit will have it. You're presented with, teacher after teacher after teacher in your path, and starts to open you up to even more, which opens you up to even more healing on your inside and peeling away all those additional layers. And
it's just crazy. right?
Yeah.
And the next segment, I want to talk about your journey through mediumship and who you trained with and all that stuff, because we have a similar path there too. It's crazy. We have kind of a just similar path that we've walked, right?
It's
But I
very
want to take
parallel.
you back. It is. There's a lot of parallels to our story, which I think is fun,
Hmm.
fascinating. And I think that's what'll get our listeners so intrigued, because they can see themselves in us too, right? We both had trauma. We come through it with trauma. We didn't have these perfect mediumship lives, right? A lot of healing that we had to do and come through, right? And like you, uh, people who are attracted to me for their healing, I have a lot in common with them because I've been through a lot of the things that they've been through. So just like you, and that's why I feel like spirit made us do all that first, so that we could
Totally.
have, right? That's kind of my feeling, so that we have some sense of knowing what it's like to hurt and to be in trauma, so that we can help others heal who are in trauma as well. So when we come back for this next break, we're about to take another break, but I want to talk about your journey, what it was like. I know you went to England like I did, so we'll talk about that, who some of your tutors were. I'm really interested because I'm putting some things together. What year did we meet? And we'll talk about that when you come back. So hang on,
Okay.
all right? All right, you're watching The Soul's Journey on Bold Brave TV Network. We will be right back after this.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Hey, we're back with Jeffery Peck, Evidential Medium, right here on Bold Brave TV Network, and you're watching The Soul's Journey. Welcome back, Jeff. I wanted to also
Hi.
mention before we kick off this segment, if you've got questions, we know that you're asking questions in the chat. Go ahead and ask them. And then on the last part of the show, Jeffery and I will tackle any psychic questions that you have. Whatever questions you have, we and him will be happy to talk to you about that. But while we were on the break, Jeff, I was putting something together. You know, we're all about synchronicities, right? And I was making
Yes.
notes as you were talking, and really big things have happened to you. 1996, we had a suicide attempt. 2006, you had the journey starting with Reiki experiences. So I just feel like there's this 10-year thing with you. So I'm curious, anything happened in 2016 or leading up to 2016 for you?
So after I became attuned to the Reiki in 2006, between 2006 and 2010, I couldn't get enough. I was in every spiritual workshop I could find. I was in every Reiki class. I had like 4 Reiki masters that I learned from. I just was starving for all things spirit. And I loved Reiki. I still love Reiki today. I use it every day. It's at the forefront of my mind with everything that I do. And in 2015-16, during the last 10 years, the last span of my last Muggle job, right? In 2015, 2016, I started to become ravenous again for all things spirit. And I started to get book after book after book. But this time it was all mediumship. It was everything, every medium out there that had written a book I had. And I was reading them like I'm not usually a fast reader, but I would read through these books within days. You know, I was just that engrossed. So that's when it all started.
Yes. And then you went and started like I did, because I'm the same way. I bought every book I could. Then I started training like crazy. So tell me about your training that you've done.
Okay, so I knew that this last gig was going to end. And I didn't know when, but I knew it was going to be in the later, towards 2020. And I knew that I was being set up this was my calling, that this is what I was going to do moving forward through the rest of my life. And my job did end at the end of 2018. So let's start the beginning of 2019. So 4 years ago, I even though I had already been delivering readings and psychic readings and card readings, tarot readings, angel readings, all that stuff, I was really going face forward into just mediumship. And so in March of 2019, I started practicing solely working with the connection with spirit on the other side, delivering mediumship. And March, April, May. Okay, so I practiced for 3 months.
Okay.
In that 3 months, I was working with Colby Rebel, and she was like a coach, and kind of guiding me what to do, giving me these exercises to do with volunteers. And one day in April, she tells me, I have a platform weekend class coming up at the end of May. I think you're ready. And I was like, what do you mean you think I'm ready? I just started practicing a month ago.
Right.
Now, I had come to a place on my insides where I now recognize spirit talking through people, getting my attention, the synchronicities that are lining up. And this was absolutely one of those moments. And I thought, well, if she's asking me, spirit must be. And I thought, well, I should say yes, right? I should say yes. Okay. Yes. I said yes. I got online. I bought into the weekend right away. Now, leading up to that class, it was like May 30th, June 1st, and June 2nd. And that entire month of May, I was miserable. Because I was so afraid of what I had just put myself up against. I was like, am I enough? Am I even ready? Am I worthy? How can I literally get in front of a group of 25 strangers in her little spiritual center and do this? Who am I to think that I can even do this? I mean, all of this. I was berating myself over and over and over, like, who am I, right? And I almost canceled. I can't even tell you how many times I almost canceled. But anyway, I made it there, and that's when I met you.
I was in that class too, scared to death.
Yes. And it was awesome. That's when I met you. That's when I met Stephanie Lyra. That's when I met Shelly.
A whole group of originals.
Yeah, totally. And so I had already had plans to go to Arthur Finley. So I was with you guys at the end of May, literally 3 weeks before I went to Arthur Finley, where Arthur Finley like literally changed my life. But it started with this preemptive weekend with you guys. And I did learn how to stand in front of 25 strangers that night. And it worked, Tracy. Remember, it worked.
And then you walk out and never do that again. It was too much.
I know. So true.
Yes, and I've
Yeah,
been to
it
Arthur Finley
was.
too. Let me tell the listeners what Arthur Finley is really quick. Arthur Finley is like Hogwarts. It's this amazing, amazing place in Stansted, England. It was a spiritualist donated their home, I believe. Am I right? The whole
Yes.
history of
Hmm.
that home. And they turned it into a college. And so people from all over the world come to this college called Arthur Finley, and they train for like, you can do like, there's weeks at a time training. You stay on campus, you stay in the room, you eat, sleep, drink mediumship for 7 days straight. And it's phenomenal. Phenomenal,
Yeah, for
right?
literally 12 or 13 hours a day. You start with breakfast at 8 a.m. and you
And
end the day at 9 p.m. It's,
yes,
yeah.
all day, all day.
Mhm.
But it is fascinating because the energy there is just so remarkable. You like, duh, I'm a medium when you're there. You're like, duh, right?
Yeah, that the spiritual Wi-Fi is
So
beyond.
intense.
Oh, like, oh yeah, it's beyond.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It was so addicting. I went back to England 5 times to do it. I'm like, I just could not get enough in the beginning. I don't know for you, but in the beginning, and this is probably a lot of things baby mediums do, intermediate mediums do. They continue to train and they 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 train
Uh-huh.
until they try to become perfect. And that just never happens, right? But there's a lot of
Oh,
training and you want to stay training until you put out your sign. But we all learn we just got to kind of do it too, right?
well, that's it. You know, that's absolutely it. We think we need this or we think we need that. And ultimately, I think like
Yeah.
for me, I think that it was because I was so afraid to put myself out there. I was afraid to like, if somebody's paying me, is it really going to be as as transformative as I know them to be? Is it really, you know? And I think that there's some sort of like for me, subconsciously, it was like a delay tactic. It was a delay tactic for myself just to
Me
continue
too.
training and find another teacher and find another class until,
Yes.
yeah, till finally it's like, okay, Spirit says, you know, pick a date and go.
And just do. Stop
Yeah,
spending money and
just
just
do it.
do it.
Yeah,
I
just do it.
struggled a lot. I don't know if you did. I struggled a lot with imposter syndrome. Like I
Oh,
would get off a
huge.
reading and say, no, that wasn't me. There's no way. Yeah, I'm not a medium. There's no way. And then I would do another reading and it would work. I'm like, am I a medium? Like I really
Yeah,
struggle with good enough, right?
yeah,
But
yeah. There are times when I still do. There are times when I'm still like, oh, I'm really nervous about this, you know, and you know, the more we do it, obviously the more we do it, the more confidence sets in.
yeah, yeah.
We know within our very core, we know that when we show up, Spirit shows up. We know that. But there's still that underlying like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to disappoint anybody, you know. Oh yeah.
I had one the other day and I was doing a reading for them, and she told me, "Well, there's one more thing that you haven't said yet. I'm just waiting to see if Spirit will say it." I'm like, "Oh Lord, I don't know if I'm gonna get that one thing right." And then I got all in my head. I'm like, "Forget about
Yeah.
it. Once you tell me that, I'm done. I'm toast."
Oh yeah,
Right?
it's so true. Yep.
Don't
Once
tell
they
me
tell you
anything.
that, yeah.
I know, but
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy. But then it becomes super magical, and I tell all my students now, really, it's like throwing you into the water when you can't swim. You just got to go do it. You just got to get as
Well,
much
you know,
practice in.
that's exactly what happened to me at Arthur. My very first day, you know, Chris Drew, the amazing, incomparable Chris Drew, he's incredible. You know, he was the lead in this week. It was his course.
Yep.
And he wanted to meet with everybody day one to determine where you are in the levels. You know, are you going to be with the beginners? Are you going to be with the intermediate? Are you going to be with the experts? And how's he up the 60 people, right? There were
Yes.
4 groups, 15 people per group. And he put me with the experts. And
Shut up.
that is exactly what he said, Tracy. That's exactly what he said. He said, Jeff is our water baby. He said, for those of you that don't know what a water baby is, mothers
Yeah.
with, you know, infants that are 6 months old, you know, they put them in the water so that they immediately, they know what to do. They know to flip over and they know to paddle and they know where to breathe and they're good, right? And
They're good.
it's the instinct. And that's what he was, that was his metaphor with me, that this was my instinctual connection with spirit, and that was it. Yeah, just jump in the water.
They did that to me too. They put me with intermediates, and I swear the first 2 days we did psychic work, which was fine, and by day 3 she asked, anybody here never connect to spirit? And I raised my hand. You know what she did? She pulled me in front of the whole class and made me do it right then and there. And it worked. And I was like, whoa. She goes, you're natural. You have the instinct of it. I'm like, I ran up to my room. I wrote in my journal, I'm a medium. I'm a medium. I'm a medium. I'm a medium. Like someone, I just got validated, right? So super magical, super magical.
You know,
and now this is what we do.
It's that, exactly, that validation. When those that are working with us, the tutors, the coaches, the teachers, even our colleagues, you know, when they believe in us enough, where we don't believe in ourselves yet, but they believe in us enough that we hang on to that a little bit. We hang on and we trust that they believe in us, and then we start to believe in ourselves as it happens, and then all of that just starts to like fill ourselves. It fills our cup from the inside out.
It does. It does. I know one of my teachers kind of reconnected, so I'll talk about Colby for a minute. Life-changing experience having her as one of my mentors. But when she asked to do a demonstration with me locally, like, excuse me, like, you think I'm okay to stand before you in front of people? So like they knew what we had before we knew what we had, if that makes any sense, right?
Yeah. So
totally, I would never have done it unless she would have been pushing me out of the nest like she did. push hard. It's scary. It's scary to do this work, right? And now we're both professional mediums, right?
Yeah.
We both have our own podcasts, right? We're like here we are. We're doing the thing. And I just think too, it's what we're meant to do. That's why the path has come this way for us, right? And I just feel like we followed breadcrumbs and we said yes. That was probably one of the most profound things someone ever taught me in mediumship. When someone comes to you and asks, just say yes, right?
Yes.
If you have an opportunity, I don't care how scared you are, you just say yes. So that's what I've been trying to do, right? They came about a show, I'm just going to say yes, right? And we'll figure it out later. So like, that's what we do, right? But I don't know about you, but it's been a magical, magical, magical journey for me. And I'm sure it's been for you, right?
Yeah.
Where can people find you, Jeffy? Can you guys hear that on the show?
They can, yeah, that's all right. They can find me, Jeffery Peck Medium. I'm all over, let's see, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Although I don't do much on TikTok, but Jeffery Peck Medium, YouTube, Jeffery Peck Medium, because my podcast called Something Super Spiritual, which Tracy, you've been on with me, and I want you to come back on my live show. So I have a live show on YouTube now, Something Super Spiritual, on Fridays at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. So that's coming up here in the next couple hours. But yeah, I would love for you to come back on the live show one of these Fridays with me.
Yes, let's do it. That would be fun. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to answer some questions from our audience. Sound good?
All right.
Yeah? All right, you're watching Bull Brave TV Network, The Soul's Journey, and we'll be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. You know, it feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
And welcome back to the Soul's Journey on Bold Brave TV Network. I am your host, Tracy Escobar, Evidential Medium, and I have with me Jeffery Peck, who is also an Evidential Medium. Hi, Jeff. So we are going to answer one question. So one of the viewers had a question, and it's Anna Iva, I think that's how you say it. And she wants to know, Jeff, do you see a romantic partner for me anytime soon? And is this the Cancer man I'm attracted to? I really hope that it's him. Thank you for your gift. So I'm going to let Jeffrey answer that. And I pulled some cards too, and I got my pendulum, so we're going to help you out.
Yeah. So Anne, I absolutely feel, I feel that energy swirling around in your energetic atmosphere. However, I'm going to say yes, but there's this caveat with it. So first of all, I want you to know I pulled a card for you, and it's the romance card. And that's awesome, given your question, right?
Right.
Now, having said that, I want to encourage you to not rush this. There's this sense of, like I said, this energy is in your atmosphere. Let's just say your energetic atmosphere. This is swirling around. The opportunities are presenting themselves, but I want to encourage you not to rush. And as I'm feeling this, the card that I get is retreat. Okay. So the retreat card is about taking your time, stepping back, focusing the energy on yourself, paying attention to your needs, who you are, what you want, knowing what you don't want. That's just as important, right? Just as when we're starting to look for a new relationship, we absolutely need to know what we do not deserve. And you deserve all of it. Let's be clear. So, yeah, take your time with this. And along with this period, this relationship is also going to bring in some spiritual growth. Look at that. This is a spiritual connection that the two of you are going to really grow from together.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you why, because I have some cards too. You ready? All right. Miss Anna, I know you didn't ask me, but I'm going to do it because this is the fun part of the show, right? So I got the love card for you. So definitely I agree with Jeff. Jeffrey, there is love swirling around you, and it's definitely time that you deserve it. However, I don't want you repeating patterns, because there seems to be a pattern in place that you tend to repeat. So I really want you to take it slow, like Jeffrey says, because I really want you to recognize some of the patterns that you keep falling into. So I have love is coming, but I'm not sure Mr. Cancer's the one, because I feel like there are things that you just don't know about him yet. And if you knew, you would see that you may be repeating a pattern. So I just want you to really, like Jeff says, put what you want, put what you don't want, but I really want you to go inward too and make another column that says my patterns. What have your patterns been in past relationships, and really highlight them so that you can really see them in black and white, because I bet you there's a pattern being repeated, and I just don't want you to do that again. So I do have a new relationship is coming. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Be open, but I did it. Manifest what you're looking for. Write it down, what you want, what you don't want, and do some self-reflecting so that we're not repeating patterns. Sounds good? That was fun, Jeff. We need to do a whole show on readings, because I just love to do that. That
was fun. Yeah, we'll do a whole show. We'll do it on my show. Next time you're on.
Yeah, we'll just do a whole.
You know what? I love that you pointed out, Tracy. I love that you pointed out that you did it, because you absolutely did. I remember prior to you meeting him, I remember having the conversations with you about meeting somebody, about a relationship coming in. And and how you wrote, what you're worth, what you are demanding from the universe, what you're demanding in the next partner, in the relationship, the equality, the connectedness, that they're going to grow with you. And yeah.
I wrote all of that down, and I really wrote that he had to have gone through something, or else you don't understand this job of mine, right?
Completely.
People don't get it, right? And so that was super, and it happened. We're getting married next March in Belize, so yeah, we moved in together, so it's been an amazing ride. So it works. Manifest who you want, but get really real with yourself. I think that's our problem.
Yes.
We're so desperate to be loved sometimes that we don't get real with our own self. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh God. Yes, completely. It's we get lost in we come at it from the place of our wounded self, that place of feeling, rejected. And we don't want to be rejected ever. Let's be clear. We want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to feel the affection that, and when we come at it from that place of lack, we aren't really recognizing where our true healing lies on our inside, that we have to really shine that light on. And
exactly. Oh my gosh, Jeff, it's been so fun talking to you. It's been amazing. Will you come back and do this again?
100%.
Yes, and I'll go on yours because I just love it. There's such good chemistry.
Yes, please.
And I love talking. People can find you everywhere, Jeffery Peck Medium, on all social media. Book a reading, go listen to his podcast too. It's really, really good. You have the gift of gab, Mr. Jeffery.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
You do. You're doing exactly what you're meant to be doing. So I just want to give you that. And to our listeners, thank you again for listening and tuning in and asking the questions. We love it so much. And with that comes the close of another show. Next week will be very interesting. I have a guest who went through a heroin addiction, has come out on the other side, and does breath work now to help others heal. So stay tuned next week. Again, you're watching The Soul's Journey on Bold Brave TV Network. Thank you, Jeffery Peck, for being a guest. And we'll see you all next time. Take care.
Thank you.
This has been The Soul's Journey with your host, Tracy Escobar. Tune in each week and be inspired through the voices of those living the journey and those who have already passed on. Fridays, 5 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV Network.